Welcome to the Flourish Academy podcast. My name is Heather Lottinen. I'm joined by my good friend, Mara Chick. We both really enjoy reading books, and our mission is to help others grow professionally and personally, but we notice that when we recommend our favorite books to friends and colleagues, they don't really have the time to read them.
So we got you covered. On this podcast, we do the readings so that you can focus on your business. We will give you a breakdown on the books that we explore, offer differing viewpoints and tips on how you can take action.
And in this episode, we are continuing to look at the compound effect with Darren Hardy, and we are halfway through chapter 5.
Ooh, okay. So last episode, which you should go back and watch listen to all these episodes in order, because there's important stuff that matters. The compound effect, each chapter builds on each other.
Obviously.
We were talking about influences, so I'm going to go straight into the book. And it's called Who's Influencing You? Birds of a feather flock together. The people with whom you habitually associate are called your reference group. Your reference group determines as much as 95% of your success or failure in life. Here we go. Who do you spend the most time with? Who are the people you most admire? Are those two groups of people exactly the same? If not, why not? Jim Rohn taught us that we become the combined average of the 5 people we hang around the most. Rohn would say we could tell the quality of our health, attitude, and income by looking at the people around us. The people with whom we spend our time determine what conversations dominate our attention and to which attitudes and opinions we are regularly exposed. Eventually, we start to eat what they eat, talk like they talk, read what they read, think like they think, watch what they watch, treat people how they treat them, even dress like they dress. The funny thing is, more often than not, we are completely unaware of the similarities between us and our circle of 5. Well,
and let me tell you something. If you don't believe that, watch children. Watch children play together on a regular basis, say to daycare or preschool, and watch them pick up the habits of the dominant child. It's unbelievable. We all know this as parents. When our kids come home doing something we don't like, we say, "Who did you learn that from?" They will talk like them. They will act like them. They will dress like them. So be careful what you surround yourself with.
And I don't know about you, but I want to be someone that people want to be around. I want people to be like, okay, I need to hang out with Mara. She's the one, like, I want to be like her. I want to be in her circle. You know what I mean? I want to elevate people. I want people to be around me, and I want to be one of those people.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't you want to be?
So that's what I strive for.
Yes.
I don't want to be someone that's like, okay, Mara, I have to eliminate you because you're just not leading me to a positive place.
I would be mortified if I found that out. I want to be such a positive influence and impact on the people around me for the exact same reasons that you, because I want to uplift them and help them. You have to be so careful about your reference group.
I know. And in the last podcast, we talked about eliminating people from your life that just aren't leading you to where you want to go, and limit those associations with people, and then really work to expand everything that the relationship you have with someone that you want to be like. So I knew from the start that Heather was someone, like, I really valued her opinion. She was someone I looked up to. She had a positive attitude.
Thank you. Because I want to lead you. I want to lead you to those positive, good, happy places.
And here I am now.
And here you are. Yeah. So who you associate with is so critically important. And if you struggle with this, again, listen to the previous episode. We talked about ways to distance yourself from people that are maybe negative influences, but maybe you can't eliminate them completely.
Limit conversations.
Because it's family.
And this is why I think, like, our mastermind group for the Flourish Academy is so important, because we're gathering a group of people who are highly motivated and want to reach their goals. So they are people that we know are a good reference group for each other. So
Oh, bringing people together. Yes. That's a pretty critical point.
I liked people to say, like, oh, Heather brought us together.
Yeah, I was part of that.
Together.
That's the best compliment.
So I think that's working really well for us.
I like how he says also, who are the people you spend the most time with and who are the people you admire? Are these two groups the same? And if they're not, why not? So the people you admire drastically different from the people you spend time with. And for me, about 5 years ago, the answer to that question was yes. The people I admire were different than the people I spent time with. It just had to cultivate new relationships over time so that I could become a better version of myself.
Yeah, I look at myself from years ago and think, I've changed so much that naturally people just kind of drift out of your life because you know that that's not the person you want to be and you're reaching for something better. That's normal for that to happen.
Right.
Because there's a change in you. Like, we are never the same person. I don't look back at myself 10 years ago and think, oh, I'm the same. I sure to heck hope I'm not the same.
That would be awful.
I want to progress and become a better person. And I just...
People evolve and grow, but make sure you're associating with the right people. Back to the book. He says, think of your friends who order greasy appetizers or a cocktail before dinner, and that's their routine. Hang out with them enough, and you'll find yourself grabbing for cheese nachos and potato skins and joining them for that extra beer or glass of wine, matching their pace. Meanwhile, your other friends order healthy food and talk about the inspiring books they're reading and their ambitions in their businesses, and you begin to assimilate their behaviors and habits. You read and talk about what they talk about. You see the movies they're excited about, and you go to the places they recommend. The influence your friends have over you is subtle and can be positive or negative. Either way, the impact is incredibly powerful. So watch out. You cannot hang out with a negative person and expect to live a positive life.
Okay, can we go back to the greasy appetizers for 1 second?
Sure.
I have to have my cheese sticks. But I'll order a salad for dinner.
Okay. I actually pull that too. I'll do an appetizer that's maybe not the healthiest, but then
a salad.
Yeah.
But just FYI.
Yeah. But I have noticed that if I'm out to dinner with someone who consistently orders a drink, I will always order a drink when I'm with them. And if I'm out with someone who never orders a drink, I won't order a drink. That's strange.
It's strange. Do you actually like to have a drink with dinner?
I don't mind having a nice cocktail with dinner. I don't. But I would limit it to probably less than once a week, less than that. Just maybe going out or something. But let's say you're on a business trip and every evening you're going out and people are ordering drinks. You will start to do that. And did you ever notice that these people that are on business trips all the time sometimes aren't the healthiest because of the eating out, right? Because it's hard to do when you're traveling. So I would be more aware. I've taken a lot of trips recently and I'm just more aware of that. If I'm on a trip, okay, I'm not going to order a drink at every single dinner. You know why? I wouldn't do that at home. But if it was, okay, one night we have maybe the end of the conference or the end of the trip, we have one drink at the, that's fine. But beyond that, no. But that's new for me. Meaning in years past, I would have just done what everybody else did.
Well, I don't drink much. I mean, just to use this as an example, but the only time I do really seem to have a drink is when we go out to a fancy dinner or we go eat Mexican because I need a frozen margarita.
Amen. Preach it. Yeah, I would agree with the Mexican.
Those chips go down better with some tequila, okay?
It's just the way it is.
It's the way it is. The way the world works. So.
But knowing, once I learned these things, okay, it seems so obvious. But once you learn it and you read it and you think about it, it becomes more obvious when you're in the situation. Therefore, you can do something about it. You can, awareness is more than half the battle because now I'm aware of that. I won't do it. And I recognize it. So important. So important.
Yeah, I try to hang out. Like a lot of my clients become my friends, and there are some clients that I've just seen a total transformation in the way they carry themselves, the way they act. And one of my great friends now is a prior client, and she's just like I am in awe of her and what she does for her life, and she listens to what I say about goal setting and it's writing things down, and it's amazing to watch. So I really want to keep being that person that can inspire others to live a better life.
So that's critical. So she went from a place that maybe wasn't as positive to a more positive place. So you were able to uplift. That's incredible. Yeah. Isn't that what we're after?
Yes.
Just have to be careful of the reverse.
Yes.
Hanging out with somebody that ends up bringing you down because they don't understand it. But people, and it reminds me of you as a student, people who are so open to learning and growing and becoming a better version of themselves, that's who I want to be around.
Yeah.
Even if they're not there yet.
Yes.
That's who I want to be around.
Yes.
Okay, back to the book. He's again continuing to talk about limited associations. And he says, there are some people you can spend 3 hours with, but not 3 days. Others you can spend 3 minutes, but not 3 hours. Always remember that the influence of associations is both powerful and subtle. The person you're walking with can determine whether you slow your pace or quicken it, literally and figuratively. Similarly, you can't help but be touched by the dominant attitudes, actions, and behaviors of the people with whom you spend time. Decide how much you can afford to be influenced based on how those people represent themselves. This is difficult, I know. I've had to do this on several occasions, even with close family members. I will not, however, allow someone else's actions or attitudes to have a dampening influence on me. He's pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
Darren says, even if it's family, they're out.
Yeah.
They're out. Where I say, okay, if it's family, distance yourself, maintain contact.
Hey, listen, I have some family members that are just toxic for me.
Okay, so it's 3 minutes, not 3 hours, and it's certainly not 3 days. But 3 minutes, okay, yeah, I can maintain a relationship.
I can say, hey, how you doing? And I mean, and some of them are closer family members than one would think. You know, it's just hard when we're all together as a family, and it's just, I can tell the conversations don't go like in a positive place. So I try to step away, and, you know, I'm not one for a lot of gossip. And
so when that happens, you try to stop it, but if you can't, you're out.
I'm out.
Absolutely.
I can control that.
Yep.
You know, I can't control what they talk about. I can try as much as I can to change the topic, but I'm not going to change them.
Nope.
But I have control over me.
You do.
Bye-bye.
I'll see you. And he says somewhere in the book, he says the negative influence is always more powerful than the positive. Yeah. So there's sometimes where you just can't overcome the negativity, no matter how hard you try.
Yes. Oh my, this book is so good.
It's so good.
It's so good. And this is stuff we should know to do, but like until someone puts it in your face.
You know what I always say to you? I always say, I want you to have a BFO. And BFO stands for blinding flash of the obvious, which is like, no kidding. Of course I need to be careful about who I associate with. But you have to read it and hear this to understand how critically important it is to your success and your future. Ooh. If you want to have money, don't hang around broke people. If you want to have great relationships, don't hang around people who struggle in their relationships unless you can help them. Try to help, of course. Right. But if you can't, you need to move on.
But don't go trying to like buy cars to be like the rich people. Yeah. You just focus on you and what you can do, but be around them, learn what they're doing, see how they treat money. You'd be surprised to learn that most people that have money are very frugal.
Oh, they don't spend it.
My grandfather, you know this.
Yes.
He used to go to Ponderosa and ask for coupons. Okay? This guy.
And he had money. He had a lot of money.
He had a lot of money. And he's like, you got any coupons for me? And Ponderosa, of all places, if you don't know what Ponderosa is, that's a buffet. And it's like
pretty inexpensive.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's like $3 already, Grandpa. Just pay the $3.
No, I need half off.
He needs half off. So you'll see. And you know, sometimes there are good people with money and bad people with money. You know, there are some people that when they get money, like the millionaire always wants another million.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to reach for that goal, that's...
Well, they say that money makes you more of who you already are. It just exaggerates your personality traits. But the point is, if you want to have money or you want to be fit, don't hang around people who don't care about their health or who are in debt.
Don't come to dinner with me when I order my cheese sticks. I'm just putting it out there.
Bottom line.
Okay. Back into the book. We're going to talk about finding a peak performance partner.
So if you're not don't hang around the bad influences. You probably should focus
on a peak performance partner. Another way to increase your exposure to expanded associations is by teaming up with a peak performance partner, someone as equally committed to study and personal growth as you. This person should be someone you trust, someone bold enough to tell you what they really think about you, your attitudes, and performance. It could be that this person is a longtime friend, but he or she may be someone who doesn't know you well at all. The point is to get and give an unbiased, honest, outside perspective. Okay, so I have a question for you.
Sure.
Well, I actually have two of these people in my life.
Okay.
And you're one of them.
Thank you. As are you.
Okay. Have you ever been afraid to tell me something?
Wow.
Ooh, I'm putting it out there. Go ahead.
Okay, that's a good question. I don't know if I would use the word afraid. I have delivered some very hard truth to you.
Yes, you have.
And it's never that I was afraid to do it. I didn't want to hurt your feelings because I care about you. But that feeling, that emotion for me was outweighed by the fact that I wanted you to improve. Key. Of course, I don't want to hurt your feelings, of course. But what was more important to me was making you a better version of yourself. Therefore, I did it anyway. Even though there were some times where I had to really think through my words so that I approached it in a way that was kind, loving. And serving, but that was also pretty blunt.
Pretty blunt yeah.
So, okay, but here's the thing.
Do you know, can you think of a time? I know one.
Oh, I can't think of a specific time.
Oh, yeah. I showed you photos of this session that I did. This was very early on in my career. And, I mean, I look back now and I'm like, oh, that was a terrible photo. But at the time I thought, oh, that's so beautiful. And I took it to Heather because she would like look at what I was working on because I was just doing stuff for fun. And she was like, Mara, I gotta be honest, this photo isn't in focus. And I was like, I didn't even see it. And I think that some photographers struggle with that.
Right.
But I'm like, I didn't even see it. I just saw like,
oh, pretty picture.
Oh, pretty picture. And it was like, I really want you to be great at this. So I want to be honest with you that it's not in focus and it needs to be in focus. If there's one thing you nail, it's your focus of your
You're going to be a photographer, I would say.
That was the first time it ever like stuck out at me like, ooh, that's some hard truth right there. Ooh. But she gave it to me.
I did.
And you always give from like a loving perspective. Even when, you know, Tony was going through his depression struggles, like it was always from love. You always talked with me from a love standpoint.
I want you to improve. I want you to do better. But the reason I was able to do that, to your credit, is because you were willing and accepting of that feedback. Not everyone is. This is what makes you a peak performance partner. Even when you weren't there yet, you would accept it. And even if it did hurt your feelings for a moment, you got it together and then you adapted. It's one of the things I respect most about you is you take a minute, okay, internalize it. Yeah, of course I need to get the photos in focus. Now that's an easy example. We've talked about things that are a lot harder than that.
Yeah.
But I felt comfortable enough doing that to you. And my job when I'm working with people is to tell them the truth. But I will say to you, if I have a client who's overly sensitive, I do tend to limit my feedback or at least be a little more careful because I don't want to hurt their feelings. Right. But at the same time, I know this could make you better. And when I'm saying I don't like your photos or they're not in focus, I'm not saying I don't like your soul.
Yeah, it's like it's not a reflection of you and your personality. But
it's a photo that's not in focus. But I find it much easier to coach and work with people like you who are willing to accept it and grow. What concerns me are the people who are not willing to even hear it because they're too sensitive and that works against them. And I have some clients like that. And so I say to them, how are you at receiving feedback? And I can see them wince almost. Okay, then this is going to be really challenging, but you need to hear it. So I'm doing this. Please know that I'm doing this from a place of love.
Yes, and I want you to grow. You're very good at that. I mean, very good at delivering.
But that doesn't mean I don't hurt people's feelings.
I know. But you don't mean to hurt their feelings.
I don't.
What we have to remember is that we can control their feelings to what we're saying. You own your feelings. You decide how you're going to react to what someone says to you. You can't make me feel something and I can't make you feel something. It's just the way you decide to feel with what you've heard.
It's a choice.
It's a choice.
It's a choice. It's a choice to be offended. I can't offend you. You choose to be offended.
I choose to be offended.
So I usually will explain that to some clients that I feel might have a little bit of a challenge with this. I hate to censor myself, and my job is to give you the truth. But I will say that it's easier to do that with someone like you. So in terms of your original question, which was, have I ever been afraid? I wouldn't say, no, it wasn't fear. Not with you. Yeah. It was, I want to make you better. I don't want to hurt your feelings. I'm just going to do it anyway. Yeah, I got to do it anyway. But I have experienced that.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked a couple of times about, you know, your clients. I don't know who they are because you never use names with me. But it's like, I have to tell somebody that something
truth.
isn't working, and can you just listen to what I'm going to say to them? Does this sound okay? Would this offend you? And, you know, I appreciate you coming to me for that, but you never know what how someone's going to react.
Yeah, I like to run that by you.
Yeah. So I think, you know, it's really good to have like a peak performance partner.
But you have to say to that person, find somebody that you feel comfortable enough saying, hey, I need psychological safety with you. I need to know that I can tell you something and you won't get your feelings hurt and take it personally, that we are here to make one another better. So, and I often ask you, what could I do better? How could I do this better? And you do the same thing. And we've had some very honest conversations, and you know what? We're better for it, both of us. And it has strengthened our relationship.
Oh, true. Remember when we did our test podcast and I'm like, I blinked too much.
It was great.
And you said something to me about, what did you say to me? About, oh yeah, you'll notice a lot of your like mannerisms when you see yourself in video. Yeah. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me I blinked too much?
Who knew?
Who knew? But you know, like, you're really good at delivering feedback.
Thank you. It's something I actually really pray about and work on, because my job is to influence and impact women gracefully.
Yes. You know, and I think it goes the same way with like, when you critique somebody, which is kind of what we're doing. People are so sensitive, but it's like the critique sandwich. So something good, something you need to work on, and then something good. So you've bookended it with like positives, and then in the middle is what you got to work on. So you're very good at doing that.
Thank you.
Because you'll praise and then work and then praise. So yeah, peak performance partners. That's key.
That's key.
Okay, Heather.
Okay.
You are up, girl.
All right. We are continuing in this chapter. We're nearing the end.
Yes.
Back to the book. This is about your environment. We're talking about your environment. So what we talked about so far was your associations. And what was the other one? Oh, what input. Input. Okay. Also, your environment. The dream, back to the book. The dream in your heart may be bigger than the environment in which you find yourself. Sometimes you have to get out of that environment to see the dream fulfilled. It's like planting an oak sapling in a pot. Once it becomes root bound, its growth is limited. It needs a great space to become a mighty oak. So do you. When I talk about your environment, I'm not just referring to where you live. I'm referring to what is surrounding you. Creating a positive environment to support your success means clearing out all the clutter in your life, not just the physical clutter that makes it hard for you to work productively and efficiently, although that's important too, but also the psychic clutter of whatever isn't working, whatever's broken, whatever makes you cringe. Environment.
Okay, remember when you made me get a dumpster?
Physical clutter leads to mental clutter. So I couldn't cut through your mental clutter at that particular time. So to me, the answer is always organize a drawer, clean a drawer. So when I'm struggling with something, I'll say, clean a drawer, pull out a drawer and just organize it. So in your case, I said, let's get a dumpster. Wouldn't that be fun?
And I threw everything out. I couldn't stand it anymore. When I started, I couldn't stop. And things became clear to me. Which was a clue. Yeah. Like
you eliminated that physical clutter. It cleared so much capacity and space in your brain that you became...
It started to feel good, like to throw stuff out.
You were so much more creative after that.
It was life-changing for me.
Things took off for you after that. So the environment that you surround yourself with, the environment, the associations, and the input, you get a handle on these three things. And by the way, at some point, we're going to dedicate an entire episode to physical clutter and mental clutter, because I find it to be that impactful with adults and with children. Keep your space clean. You had mentioned in a previous episode at the end of your routine episode where you clean your desk, so that it's nice. These are very important.
Awesome. Okay, as we end chapter 5, there's just one more strategy we want to give you, and that is to find your own peak performance partner.
Make it happen.
Yep, make it happen. You can find someone that you trust, but the most important thing is to find someone that's going to hold you accountable, because you really want someone that's going to be honest with you, know what your goals are and help you get there, and hold you. If you say like, I need to go do this, that someone's going to be there and be like, well, did you do it? Yeah. Because when someone's checking in on you, I mean, do you want to disappoint them when you say, no, I didn't do that?
Right.
No, it doesn't feel very good. So thanks everyone for listening. Heather, Can you give them details on how to support our podcast?
Thank you. I would love to. Subscribe to us on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. Please like, share, and leave a review. And if you prefer video, you can also watch and subscribe to us on YouTube. Just go to Flourish.Academy. And if you like the content, please share it with your friends by posting on social media. I mean, I know you're on a social media diet, but posting and sharing can help us reach and impact more people.
We'll make an exception in this case.
In this case. And if you want to purchase The Compound Effect or any of the books mentioned in the podcast, please use the link below. It's our Amazon affiliate, and it just helps to offset some of the costs associated with the podcast.
Thanks so much for listening, everyone. We'll catch you next time.